is actually the burden acquired by the leaders, but passed on to the ordinary people to pay. And so when you go into these regions, especially our region, you find poverty, untold poverty, despite all the aid. And all we are saying now is, for goodness sake, if you're going to go through with this aid, it has to be aid that reaches the people. Of course, that is why we are saying that democracy is a just democratic governance is a prerequisite for proper development. And if we don't have that, we might as well not have any aid, because it's only going to enrich a few individuals. Fortunately, if we can be allowed to complete this process, this democratization process, and put in some mechanisms that will check our leaders, then we will be able to apply aid in the proper way and really work on poverty. Unless we can do that, we may agree in Rio that poverty is a big issue and should be addressed, but it will remain on paper.
Are you optimistic?
Oh, I'm very optimistic. What I'm most encouraged about is the fact that there will be a lot of women there and grassroots people, because the women especially will bring in more energy and will bring a lot of inspiration and commitment that women have and which we need in this new age. The word tribe is a political statement. It was actually deliberately introduced to give a connotation of primitive people, backward people, uncivilized people, disorganized people, people unable to govern themselves, to more or less justify colonization. When it becomes suggested to you long enough, you begin to interpret yourself the same way the power that wanted to colonize you wanted you to think, so that you could accept his process of colonization. What we do not understand is that we humans are only part of this ecosystem. And when we kill part of this system, we are killing ourselves. That's what we need to understand. That this ecosystem must remain as it is. It must be sustained, because in its survival depends our own. Well, what we were doing is supporting mothers of political prisoners. At this time, in the process of democratization of our country, we still have a lot of political prisoners in jail. And we feel that these prisoners are prisoners of conscience, men who spoke against the dictatorial regime that we have had in Kenya at a time when it was very dangerous to do so. It's no different from what we have been campaigning for in South Africa. And so we feel that you really cannot keep those men in jail without being grossly unjust. So we joined the mothers of these men in appealing to the Kenyan government to release them. And instead of listening to the mothers, the government sent us police, armed police, to come and disrupt the meeting and to beat us. I know that those of us who are in the forefront have to pay a price. I don't want to pay a price with my life, but I know that I have to pay a price for speaking for democracy.
So the environmental movement has become a political movement.
The environmental movement has become part and parcel of the pro-democracy movement. A small way in my country back home, or big conflicts such as we find in the Congo, in Darfur, in many other parts of the world, if you look at them and remove the superficial layers of religion and politics, quite often it's a question of trying to access resources. Now looking back, I know and I appreciate now that when you grow up in a colonial system, or in whichever system you grow up, people who design that system design in such a way that they will produce a certain kind of people, because they give them a certain kind of information, they expose them to a certain kind of information, and they keep certain kind of information away from them. Pole bwana, driver, take mama slowly bwana. You want to see the great woman. That's the great woman. The great woman is passing. The great woman.
Certainly, she has stood out as Kenya's most outstanding champion of environmental sustainability, and through her relentless efforts, present and future generations in our country and the region will enjoy a much cleaner and safer environment.
Maathai.
Held in nature as we care more forever. We entrust Professor
I'd just like to point out that while we are waiting,
we are really happy today that we are celebrating a life that was well lived and then a life again that will be missed. But the two who came in yesterday, I believe, will stand in the gap and continue with what Wangari had started.